All right, I'll go ahead and get started, and others can join us as they are able. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jermeen Sherman. Thank you so much for joining today's info session. I'm the managing director at Black Ambition, so I oversee our national prize competition, our international events, and the supportive programs that we provide to applicants and prize winners later on throughout the prize cycle. We are so incredibly grateful for your interest in the application and for joining us today. I think I'm sharing screen here. Okay, so we'll, over the next hour, 45 minutes to an hour, we'll do three things. First, I'll provide an introduction to Black Ambition, a bit about our origin story and what you can expect from us over the next few months. Second, we'll do a really deep dive into the Black Ambition Prize competition, specifically unpacking eligibility, criteria, key deadlines, and what we're looking for when it comes to a really compelling application. Pardon me if I feel distracted. I'm just making sure everyone gets let in from the waiting room here. And finally, I'll hold time to answer any questions that you might have about the application as well. This conversation is being recorded, and so we'll post it on the website if you'd like to reference it later or even share it with colleagues. And I'll also note that on Monday, we'll have a second conversation, this time inviting prior prize winners to join us, talking to you a little bit about their approach to developing compelling applications, the businesses that they've developed, where they are now, and then they can also kind of share some insights into how we've been able to support the growth of their ventures. And then this hasn't been announced just yet, but you're getting this hot off the press. On April 15th, we'll do an IG Live and we'll bring in the grand prize winners. So these are the three companies for which we've invested $1 million each over the last few years, and you'll have an opportunity to pick their brains as well. All right, just letting a few more people in. If you've just joined us, we're just getting started. Here on the agenda, the three objectives for today, a quick overview of what the work we do here at Black Ambition, unpacking the Black Ambition Prize, eligibility, what's compelling, and then we'll save Q&A for the end. Everyone is muted now, just need about 15 minutes to get through the first two items, and then we can come off mute, you can use the raise hand, and we can transition to more dialogue. All right, so with that, I'll jump right in.
Hi, my name is Felicia Hatcher, CEO of Black Ambition. On behalf of myself and our founder, Pharrell Williams, I welcome you to this year's Black Ambition Prize process. This opportunity has become one of the most premier and competitive startup processes as far as it relates to funding Black and Hispanic and HBCU entrepreneurs. We're excited to guide you along in the journey. The team has created a series of phenomenal webinars to help you every step of the way to completing a successful application, and then getting you through the prize process, some amazing mentorship, some coaching, and the support and community that you need to become a world-class entrepreneur. We're excited, and I'm excited to see you in the prize process, in a part of the Black Ambition community, and showing up and showing out to every single informational session that's available to you to help you become a much stronger entrepreneur. Y'all, the reality is the application within itself is actually designed to make you a stronger entrepreneur as a result of just filling out the application. And you can only imagine what the process is like after that. And if you don't believe me, and if you need additional confirmation, just look at the 101 other entrepreneurs that we've invested in the past 3 years. I'm looking forward to seeing you as a part of that growing number of amazing entrepreneurs that we know are not only going to change the world, but shake up their industries, create pathways to wealth for themselves and their families, and more than anything, be monumental contributors to this globe and this community. And so I look forward to seeing you as a part of the Black Ambition Prize and one of the next Black Ambition entrepreneurs. Now I'm turning over to the rest of the team. Bye. Hi, my name is Felicia.
Awesome. To had an opportunity to hear from our CEO, Felicia Hatcher. I'm sure you've seen her work, followed her on Instagram. She does a lot of really actionable kind of best strategies, best practices for building a business. And if you're not following her, I certainly encourage you to do so as you develop your application. I imagine it'll be incredibly helpful. So just providing some context into kind of who we are and why we do this work, what our North Star is. Black Ambition is a nonprofit organization that was founded by Pharrell Williams in 2020 with the objective of closing the wealth and opportunity gap by investing in diverse entrepreneurs. So specifically looking at Black and Hispanic entrepreneurs who are building across a key few business verticals and making those investments to essentially create wealth opportunities in our communities through those entrepreneurs scaling, becoming employers, and creating wealth in ways that are quite transformational for diverse communities. We do that work through a national prize competition. We invest capital and resources in early stage companies. Early stage we define as companies that have not yet raised more than $1 million in dilutive funding, and companies who are innovating in kind of 5 distinct areas. These are important to remember. The first is technology, media and entertainment, healthcare, new for this year, AI, and then consumer products and services. I encourage you all, if you haven't done so yet, visiting the blackambitionprize.com website. You can check out the terms and conditions, which clearly define each of those 5 verticals, if that's useful to you. In addition to just the access to capital, which is quite transformative, we really prioritize providing a comprehensive ecosystem and suite of supportive resources that includes things like coaching, mentorship. As a direct result of our founder and his relationships, we're often able to broker really unique retail opportunities, really curated networking opportunities. Every month, we do a variety of learning initiatives, oftentimes through our corporate partners. So folks like Louis Vuitton, right, for whom Pharrell is currently partnering, those executives lend their time and expertise to support founders as well, facilitating warm introductions, whether that's funding, follow-on funding, or other sort of revenue generating opportunities. Beyond the prize competition, you've probably seen us activating in person at lots of cultural events and big business conference. Just yesterday, we were at South by Southwest for a couple of days, really connecting with diverse audiences of innovators there, exploring how we can be resourceful. So definitely check out our Instagram, follow us to make sure that you learn when we're in your city and to join us at those events. Oh, got a few more people in the waiting room. Let's get those folks situated. So to date, we have funded 101 dynamic companies. Last year was a critical moment for us because we crossed that 100 companies milestone. So we took an opportunity to really look back at our model, our intervention model, but also to assess where those founders are now. And we're just incredibly proud that the model really works. And so I would encourage each of you to check out our first annual impact report, if you haven't already. Kind of walks you through the origin stories of those initial companies, the specific supports that we've provided, and some really big wins and compelling stories. Those companies have gone on to raise more than $95 million. We're talking, big retail partnerships with Ulta and Target across different continents. Incredible media coverage has really propelled their companies to new heights. So really cool reading and an opportunity to get better acquainted with our work and how we support founders as well. So I want to make sure that I also touch on the timeline and just a couple of key dates. Applications, of course, opened on February 26th, and the application will close on May 6th. So looking at data over the last 3 years, what I can share with you is that the top scoring applicants take on average between 12 and 14 days to complete their applications. I share that piece of data with you to say, don't wait until the last moment. It is quite intentionally designed to be a little thought-provoking. So you definitely want to give yourself an opportunity to iterate, draft some answers, maybe come back to it, make sure it resonates with you. Because that's just kind of a best practice there. And more than that, what we've seen happen continuously is that getting through the Black Ambition application really prepares you to apply for other pipeline opportunities, accelerators, incubators. Lots of folks get checks from Black Ambition and they go on to get checks from Google and Microsoft and Techstars. And so really taking your time to develop a compelling application has the opportunity to pay off, tenfold. All right, let some more people in from the waiting room. So applications close on May 6th. Once we close applications, we will take a couple of weeks to do a few cursory rounds of evaluating, and then we'll announce folks who advance in a few different phases. So the first big announcement is slated to happen mid-June to late June, and that's when we'll announce semifinalists. Semifinalists are up to 250 applicants that we are considering for investment. So we anticipate getting a few thousand applications, and we'll advance up to 250. Those 250 will be able to participate in what we call the Black Ambitionist Mentorship Program. You've probably seen a bit about this. Participants oftentimes put their badges on LinkedIn and social, but it is truly a curated learning experience. We essentially organize companies by vertical. So let's say you're a CPG brand or an AI brand. We'll put you with a team of four others innovating in AI with similar kind of growth objectives, learning objectives, and we'll pair you with a mentor, someone with really deep industry expertise. This mentor might be a venture capitalist or an angel investor, or maybe it's an entrepreneur who's had a successful exit in that vertical. But the idea is that they're really able to help you beyond kind of advice, but when it comes to opening their kind of Rolodex, for lack of a better word, facilitating introductions. And in many cases, we've seen mentors become so invested that they actually personally invest in companies. And so folks get a check from Black Ambition and their mentors. It's a great opportunity to kind of build a bench of advisors. Lots of mentors transition to become board members to companies. I share that to say that I know that there are lots of mentor programs, but this particular piece of program is incredibly well regarded. And a lot of our kind of founder testimonials, you'll hear folks say that, the check was great. It helped me fulfill these major POs initially, but it's really the network that I got from Black Ambition that has positioned me for success. So after we announced those semifinalists in June, the next series of announcements will happen in September, and that's when we announce the top finalists. So these are up to 50 companies. While you're going through your mentorship program, which takes about 3 months, you'll have an opportunity to submit a supplemental application. We just want to dive a little bit deeper, understand more about your team, your financials, kind of your growth objectives, and from there we'll be able to identify the top 50. Those top 50 applicants will get some additional supports, primarily focused on pitch practice and pitch training. So we're finding your decks, kind of preparing you to pitch on stage for a demo day with us, but also for other opportunities. The top 50 will also compete in what we call a kind of a public voting campaign. You all, as part of your applications, will record these 90-second videos where you introduce yourself and your venture. The top 50 will have an opportunity to share that video more publicly and to vie for votes. And so the business venture that has the most votes will receive a public voting award, which is a $25,000 check. So that piece is totally, up to you to win. It's really about how hard you grind and really go out to cast votes. But it's a fantastic brand building opportunity, an opportunity to amplify what you're building and to drive attention to your websites. And the last piece is around November, which is our demo day. Every year, the prize competition culminates really big award ceremony. We fly all the top applicants out to the city. In this case, I'll share with you, it's likely going to be New York. We'll bring you out to New York for a couple of days of training with, to really top-notch folks, celebrities, opportunities to pick their brains. We'll do some curated kind of funding opportunities, circles to connect with VCs. And then the top applicants, up to 8, will have a chance to actually pitch on stage at Demo Day for the $1 million grand prize. If you'd like to learn more about that experience, kind of get a sense of the energy that we create, if you visit our website, on our landing page, there's a Demo Day recap video, about 2 minutes of what Demo Day looked like in November. I'd strongly encourage you to take a look and check it out. So now that you are acquainted with the Black Ambition prize competition and have a good understanding of the timeline, I want to turn our attention to discussing the eligibility, what we look for in kind of scoring them, and the criteria on which you'll be evaluated. Sorry, a couple more people in from the waiting room. So first, the Black Ambition Prize is really for entrepreneurs who are building teams to advance their ventures, not solopreneurs. And so I say that to say that the primary criteria, and that is oftentimes can be overlooked or maybe a bit of misunderstanding, is that you have to apply as part of a team, right? If you are the founding member of like the CEO, you have to have a second person working with you on your team as part of that venture. That person can be a W-2 employee, that person can be a consultant, but we want to just see some long-term commitment for them working on that venture. Of your team that has to have a minimum of 2, you can have more than 2, but a minimum of 2. And we'll ask for identifying information about that second person. We'll dive into their backgrounds. So just the application will compel you to kind of share more about who that person is. But of your founding team, one of those team members must identify as Black and or Hispanic. And that team lead has to be domiciled in the US, right? So you have to live in the US, and the business also has to be domiciled here in the US. That doesn't mean you have to be a US citizen, but you do have to be a legal US resident. The team lead does. The team lead is typically the CEO or president. And so we're looking for someone at that level to be the primary representative for the organization. Your business, of course, has to fall into one of those 5 categories that we focus on. Again, those are healthcare, consumer products and services, technology, media and entertainment, and AI. We focus on those because, as I mentioned, it's beyond the capital. We're really focused on how we can support founders in a material way. And in those 5 verticals, we have access to corporate leaders with really deep expertise who are willing to share their time. And so those are the 5 categories in which we're able to be most supportive of founders and where we're looking to source applicants. The next piece that I want to raise is that all businesses must be for-profit entities. Nonprofits are not eligible to apply. When we think back to our North Star of wealth creation, we find that investments and for-profit businesses sort of get us closer to that point. And that's a piece that we will clarify or kind of double check from the incorporation side as we progress throughout the competition. In past years, we say early stage, and early stage can be, it's quite a spectrum. It can be vast. In some cases, that means companies are incorporated. They've got really healthy MRR. They've been around for 4 years. In other cases, you may just be getting off the ground. And that's perfectly okay. We ask that you are in the process of incorporating if you haven't already, but you have to be incorporated before we can award any prize money. So that's just something to keep in mind if you are kind of, haven't yet finalized that legal side. You'll have to do that should you advance in the competition before you can become a Black Ambition Prize winner. The other thing to note here around the eligibility is just a reminder around dilutive funding. You may have raised funds in the past, and that's perfectly fine. But as long as you haven't raised more than $1 million in dilutive funding, you remain eligible. If you've raised more than that, then you're not eligible for this prize competition. But shoot me a note, and I can sort of offer some pipeline opportunities for other funds who might be more appropriate for that kind of later stage growth that you're looking for. And finally, the last piece I want to just unpack here is that we want to see that you've made progress against a concept, that you've got an MVP, that you validated that your product or service is in fact feasible and that there's a desire for it in the market. You can show us kind of an MVP in a couple different ways. You can do this through a prototype. You can have examples of product designs, demonstration videos, a landing page, a website. Having successfully crowdfunded in the past is a strong indication. You can have a current customer base, or if you haven't yet launched, a pre-sale list. All of those are indications for us that there is an opportunity for traction. I see a couple hands here. Just do me a favor, hold those questions, and we will save the bulk of our time for conversation there. Let me just get a couple more people in the waiting room. All squared away. I also just want to talk a bit about what we'll look for when we begin evaluating applications. We'll kind of score you across 5 key criteria. The first is really just understanding the problem and solution. Specifically, have you identified an important and unmet need in the market? And have you paired that unmet need with a compelling solution that addresses that problem? We're specifically looking for a very clear description of what it is you do, how you know it works, in the market. And this is where kind of your minimum viable product will come into play, right? The prototype as applicable. The second piece is really understanding your addressable market and distinctive market position. What is your market? How large is it? What is the revenue opportunity? What is the population that wants your product or service? And how are you poised to kind of meet and serve that audience to meet that need? Here is also where we want to unpack kind of who your competitors are and where you believe you are in position to them. The third piece is really around the business model and the acquisition strategy. So the customer acquisition strategy. So think growth. We'll be evaluating your plan for acquiring new customers. A couple more folks in the waiting room. We'll evaluate your plan for acquiring new customers, for distributing your product and service currently and also in new markets, how you intend to generate revenue, and then your plan to scale over the next few months and years. We'll also look at the quality of your team. We want to know who's helping you build against your vision, what their unique expertise and professional experiences are, and kind of unique skill sets that each person brings that's going to be positioned to help the business succeed and scale. And then finally, the last piece is really just the overall quality of the application. Is it clear? Is it concise? And is it compelling? Those are the 5 criteria that we'll look at. And each application is scored a minimum of 4 to 5 times at kind of different stages. So having folks with sector-specific experience and then also kind of sector-agnostic experience weigh in on your application at each stage. And then from there, we're able to advance those top scoring applicants at each stage of the applicant process, from semifinalist to finalist to prize winner. I mentioned that we start by advancing the top 250 applicants as semifinalists, and then 50 as finalists. And that's where we get to know you a bit more personally, actually getting folks on the phone, conducting interviews. And each year, this is a little bit variable, but we essentially invest in between 30 to 40 companies. So we'll award 30 to 40 companies checks that range in size from $20,000 on the low end to $1 million on the high end. That's our grand prize. Before we dive into Q&A, I want to give our partners from Unoodle, who manage our applicant platform, an opportunity to introduce themselves, also to introduce the platform on which you use to develop your application if you haven't started already. Kind of walk you through what that looks like and a process for if you encounter any issues or have any questions as well. Lorena, I think I saw you on. Feel free to unmute yourself or let me know if I need to do so, but feel free to chime in. Scrolling through.
No worries. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you all. We're also part of the Unoodle platform, and we will be super happy to help you with any technical questions that you may have whenever you start your application process on the Unoodle platform. Bernice should be there.
I'm here too, yes. Do you guys hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Hi, my name is Vanilla. I'm part of the Unoodle team, as Jermaine mentioned. We'll walk you through, and I'll promise to be quick because I know you guys have a lot of questions. But we kind of want to walk you through what happens after you click on the apply button on the Black Ambition website. This is the first page you'll see on our platform. It's kind of just a breakthrough of main information of the challenge, and you have a button to the right where you'll be able to click on apply. Once you click on that button, if you're a returning applicant, meaning you applied to the program in the past or you applied to other challenges through our website, if you don't mind, go to the next slide, Jermaine. Then you'll be able to log in with the same Unoodle account. No need to create a separate account. You can log in with the same credentials. If you're a new user on the Unoodle platform, we invite you to set up an account. And once you log in, you will see, next slide, thank you. You'll see this small button that you're seeing there. Green button says click here to create new application. You click on that and you'll be taken to the application form. The application form is kind of divided into two. You have a main section, navigation section to the left, and to the right, you'll have the actual application questions that you'll have to go through. The way it's set up on the platform is we'll start walking you through some of the same eligibility requirements that Jermaine mentioned, just to be sure that you're aware of all these things and you comply with them. Once you've gone through those, you comply with everything, we'll show you the entire application form. So all the different sections that Jermaine mentioned that we will be evaluating, those will be presented within here. Next slide, please. So once you go through the application form, just a quick note here is you have the option to fill out some questions, log out, come back. We will automatically save your progress until that stage. No need to save or do like everything in one sitting. And you always have the checklist that's marked now in the navigation to go in and check the answers you already provided and what questions are missing. Once you're done with the application form, you filled everything out, we strongly recommend that you go through the checklist, read all the questions and answers. And once you're ready, at the bottom of that page, there'll be a submit button. Once you click on that, the page will change and it'll take you to the status section, which is the next slide. And you'll see a confirmation message saying that your application has been submitted. You should also receive an email confirmation to say that your application has been submitted. If for any reason you made a mistake, you want to go back and you want to update something, that's still possible. You can go back to the platform, unsubmit it, make the required edits, but please remember that you need to submit it again and submit it before the deadline of May 6th. And I think that's really it on the platform side. If there's any more technical questions, I'll be here at the end also to answer those. And if not, if you face any issues throughout the process, we have a support channel where we're able to help you throughout the week with any questions that might arise.
Thanks, Pernille. I'm going to just leave our contact info here so that you can screen capture that as needed. Before we jump into Q&A, I want to just make one other note around how we structure the prize competition and how prize awards are issued, as well as a couple of just key pivots that we've made after learnings from running the competition over the course of 3 years. First, prize awards are issued in the form of SAFE agreements or investments. A SAFE is a simple agreement for future equity. It's essentially a way to invest in a company without going through kind of the longer evaluation period. Essentially allows us to buy discounted stock at a future date. To unpack kind of what that means specifically, and we do this in more kind of codified structures as you progress to the prize competition. But if you want to get ahead of that, just visit the Black Ambition website, visit our FAQ page, and there's an entire section that really unpacks our rationale on why we invest that way, kind of what the tax implications are. You can take a look if you're interested at the specific details and the safe summary agreement, so you understand the actual investment terms. All of that is available there to unpack. And as you progress, we will connect you with legal representation who will also better help you interpret those terms, but also in the context of your specific businesses. The second thing I want to address is just one big change that we've made to the Black Ambition Prize. If you followed our work over the last few years, you know that in the past, we've had two kind of different prize tracks. One for Black and Hispanic entrepreneurs innovating across the country, across those 5 verticals that we've unpacked, and another specifically for folks with an HBCU affiliation, so current students or recent alumni of historically Black colleges or universities. We've since kind of removed that HBCU track or pivoted to have that happen through a different portfolio of programs. So rather than our HBCU applicants applying to the Black Ambition Prize, that experience looks a bit different from them. They have the option to join us at a campus tour. We have a 3-day tour series where essentially we condensed the Black Ambition model to 3 days of in-person programming. On day 1, we're on campus forming teams. Day 2, you're sort of prototyping, validating ideas. And by day 3, you've got the makings of a first initial pitch deck. And we're able to do some initial funding to help folks test and kind of validate those ideas. From our HBCU tour series, which we announce on social and on our website, so you can always follow which campus we're going to be at next and enroll in a campus near you. You don't have to have an affiliation with that school. You can pick any geography that you like if that's of interest. And the second opportunity, there is a pre-accelerator program. So it's an opportunity for us to go upstream a little bit and to help our HBCU applicants develop a stronger business models kind of earlier on. That's going to be an 8-week program that is delivered virtually, about 120 seats. We'll announce the specific details a bit later in Q2, but kicking off in June over the course of 8 weeks, covering a variety of topics from kind of, early stage different business model opportunities, marketing best practices, and corporation supports. And that accelerator opportunity will culminate with a virtual demo day. We'll award about $250,000 to the top 10 applicants that come through the HBCU tour and the accelerator program. I unpack that to say that you cannot win in both, right? So if you all are an alum of an HBCU and you want to take advantage of that programming, I like to call it a little kind of closer hand-holding into kind of developing an application, you are welcome to apply to those 2 initiatives. But if you were to advance in both the Black Ambition Prize competition as a finalist and also a finalist in the HBCU pre-accelerator, you'd have to make a choice on which path you'd like to pursue. And that's available in the terms and conditions as well. So with that, I will pause and I'll invite folks to come off mute to post questions as you have. I'm also happy to start with a few questions that I see here in the chat if folks would prefer that. Let me just scroll down a little bit.
Hi there. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Hi.
Hi there. I'm Shay Burns. I just actually posted the sole proprietorship question earlier in the webinar. You mentioned it has to be an incorporated business. So would I need to go ahead and do the process of getting our sole proprietorship turned into an S Corp or C Corp in order to apply for this grant?
You don't need to do that to apply, but you'll need to do it before you're able to win a Black Ambition Prize award. So essentially, if you are advanced and are announced as a winner in November, we'll send you details sort of telling you the amount that you're awarded. And then from that period, you'll have about 3 to 4 months to get that paperwork in order before we can actually distribute the check to you. So it's just a thing to have on your radar. You'll need to do it should you win, but it's not required.
Sounds great. Awesome. Thank you.
Of course. Adrian Allen, I see your hand up.
Yes, so I have 2 questions. First, starting with the HBCU prize track, I think you said that it was going to be an accelerator program. So let's back up here. Are you talking about current HBCU students, as in like undergraduate students or recent graduates? So for example, I graduated from Hampton University May of 2022. So would that mean that I am not eligible to then do the HBCU prize track because you said that you guys changed the program a bit? It sounds like you're catering it towards current HBCU students who are currently in their undergraduate year.
So the criteria hasn't changed, the experience has changed a bit. And so, and we'll announce this more publicly once we confirm the dates for when that pre-accelerator will kick off. But the eligibility for that will be both for current students and for recent graduates within 5 years, but also for students who have recently departed, meaning that you don't have to have matriculated with a degree, you just need to have left the university within 5 years. If you meet one of those 3 pieces of criteria, then you're eligible to apply. If you don't meet either of those 3 pieces of criteria, then your option would be to apply to the Black Ambition Prize competition.
Okay, so that's answered my question for number 1, so thank you. The second question would be in terms of incorporation. I understand that there's different ways that you can incorporate your business. Everybody's business structure is different, of course. Some people have an S corp or a C corp for bigger corporation entities, but in terms of small businesses, an LLC would be a limited liability company. Would that documentation then be substantial enough for the general prize track, or would that be the same for, you know, the HBCU prize track and the general prize track? So I guess my question to you would be then, would we need to have that documentation to receive funding for both prize tracks?
Yes, that documentation is required regardless of whether you win in the Black Ambition Prize or in our HBCU prize, but noting that you can only win in one of those. I want to just be really clear because I don't want this to be at all a deterring point for anyone. If you haven't yet incorporated, don't feel like that means you can't yet apply. All I'm saying is if you apply and you do really well and you progress, you make it to the semifinalist stage, and then you make it to the finalist stage, that's a point in which you're going to want to start getting your ducks in a row and getting your paperwork filed. Because once we announce the winners in November, and if you are one of those winning companies, let's say you win $75,000, we won't be able to physically give you that check until we have that documentation of how you incorporate. And we'll help you along the way, right? So to your point, there are lots of different sort of business entities and structures that one can choose from. Once we get down to a smaller cohort of folks that we're considering, we're able to connect you with legal partners who can advise you on what the best approach is for you. So all that to say, don't sweat that part now. It only becomes an issue or a matter that we need to unpack if you make it to the top 50. And once you make it to the top 50, there's a structure in place that helps you to incorporate.
So that's what I was going to interrupt you and ask, because I'm just going to throw it out there and say that I did make it to the top 50. So like in terms of like that documentation being offered to the team, is that something that like, because I'm going off track here and this is just the last thing I'm just going to say and I'm just going to stop talking. How would that documentation, is that something that's updated in the YoNoodle portal? Is that something that's like sent directly to like the team? Like I'm trying to figure out like where in the process do you submit that documentation?
I see. So it sounds like you made it to the top 50, meaning finalist, but you did not win a prize award. We don't request that from you unless you win, right? So you could have made top 50, but if you weren't among the 35 that we funded, then that's not something that we would have ever requested. It's not a part of the application. We don't ask for it until we tell you that you've won and then you give it to us. So I don't believe that's a path that you've crossed.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Not to reach out directly. Natasha Green.
Yes, hi, I'm Natasha from New York City. So I have a tool called We Intervene. We are already partnered and I've received contracts from the Department of Education. That being said, when I look at technology and I look at AI, I know that we are transitioning into the concept of automatically matching families to resources and opportunities on behalf of schools and school districts. And so I'm wondering, are you able to, like someone said in the chat, pick 2 of these options because they're coming together to do the work, right, of connecting families to resources? Or is there one that you got to choose over the other because it seemed more highly favorable as it relates to the application?
That's a fantastic question. And the answer is you can associate your business with more than one vertical. So we'll ask you to identify a primary industry, then from there, secondary and a tertiary. And that's really for us just identifying and best matching with where we think supports from both the human capital side are and capital. So it's really it's better for us for forecasting how large our cohorts are and the different five like business verticals. You can have multiple associations.
Okay, great. And I just want to follow up with what Adrienne said. So when it comes to the SAFE and where she didn't meet the cutoff, does that mean she actually won money and we should congratulate her because she made it to the finals? Or is that not a thing?
So it sounds like, and I'm not familiar with everyone's application here, but
Okay.
as I mentioned, we do sort of several tiers of evaluating, right? So the first tier is semifinalist, that's top 250. From there, you go to finalist, and that's 50. So that means of these 50 companies, we are considering for investments, and we tend to pick 30 to 40 there. So it sounds like Adrienne made it to that category, but not the 30 to 40 where we actually invested. Once you make it to that 30 or 40, that's where we're going to do the deep dive and we'll ask you for the incorporation documents. You won't have to submit that as part of your application unless we select you as a company that we want to invest in. Awesome. Te-Nehisi, I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that.
Not a problem. Hi, thank you so very much, Jermaine. Hello, everyone in the audience. I'm really excited to be able to ask my question and all this information. I have already started speaking with my colleagues who made it to the rounds that you mentioned. And I was just wondering if the information around the actual prize money will be revealed only when you make it to a certain level. Like I'd asked a colleague around what part is dilutive and what part is non-dilutive. And I am pretty transparent around monies, but I know everyone is different. So even after Adrienne's example, when you make it to a certain level, then you will give more information around the distribution around what is dilutive and non-dilutive, or will that be provided earlier throughout the application or throughout the process? Thank you so much for your consideration.
Of course, thank you for that question. So I think it's top of mind for lots of folks. So I appreciate you posing it. The answer is both and, right? Right now on our website, we are very transparent about what those investment terms are. So for example, our SAFE agreement is organized in such a way that 50% of your prize money is an investment and 50% of it is a grant. So if you won, and so let me add another caveat, 3 caveats. 50% is an investment, 50% is a grant. Only up to 250,000 can be an investment. So if you were lucky and you won the $1 million grand prize, only $250,000 of that is an investment. The other $750,000 is a grant for you and all of that is kind of operational, right? You can use that to hire, you can use that to design new products, you can use that to market, you can, whatever you want to do, right? We trust your vision at that point. So those terms are all detailed on our website. If you're on our website now, literally just scroll down to the bottom, you'll see our privacy policy, you'll see a tab that's called Summary of Safe Terms. It unpacks all the nitty-gritty evaluation floors, all those things, all those terms are readily available there. You probably won't be able to understand how that relates to you specifically until you know your prize amount. And that's the piece that we tell you closer to demo day, right? Because you're still competing. A large part of demo days happens kind of in real time, right? So as folks are pitching on stage, and then literally the judges go upstairs and Pharrell's upstairs, and we kind of talk through where we think, the highest award should land. So it's not that we're withholding the information. A lot of those prize awards literally are made in real time. And so on demo day, is when people will learn exactly how much they're winning, but you'll have ample access to how those prizes are structured well before then. That's on the website. And the last thing I'll add there is if you kind of just want to get a deeper understanding of how safes work, kind of what equity financing events kind of trigger them. If you visit our website in the FAQ section, we lay out a couple sample scenarios that help you to kind of process that. So I encourage you to take a look there. Kwameni?
Hi, my name is Kwame Liddell. I'm the founder and CEO of ThriveLink. We build AI social workers that enroll people into things like health insurance, Medicare, utility assistance, and things like that. And a question you mentioned just kind of in the discussion was talking about how you guys chose categories because you want to be able to be as supportive as possible. Can you talk about what happens after you win, or like, wait, what are some of the other benefits outside of the dollars that come with the program?
Yeah, thank you for that question. The idea here is to really be responsive to our founders, and we take a real human-centered design to our programming. And so one thing that will happen for those who win a Black Ambition Prize Award, immediately after winning, we survey you and we say, it's not quite Christmas, but we want to know your Christmas list. So we can do 3 things that are additive to you. What are those 3 things? And people dream big, right? We're looking for your moonshot ideas. So if you like, I need Kelly Rowland to wear my lipstick, that's what we're going to work towards. So you tell us those 3 things, and then we look at our Black Ambition Network and we do a little bit of relationship mapping, right? How can we get you there? If you need to get into Ulta, who can I reach out to at Ulta's Accelerator to get you that call, right? What conference do I need to get you at? What panel do I need to get you on to get you to those learning objectives? So I share that to say that the way that we support founders is highly variable, and a lot of that is going to be dependent on you and what you drive. You got to tell us what you want and how we can be additive. Outside of those like individual levels of being supportive, there's a couple just sort of standard programming elements that we provide. So the first things that you can always count on are what we call kind of like Ask Me Anything sessions or office hours. And this is where we leverage all of our corporate partners. So thanks folks like Adidas and Rockefeller and Louis Vuitton and Chanel, people who fund our work, those executives to come in and share their expertise. So for example, coming out of COVID, you can imagine that supply chain was top of mind for everyone, right? So we brought in our partners at UPS to really talk through best practices there and how to kind of gain a competitive advantage. Our partners at LV are crazy into building a brand, right? Like it doesn't get bigger than that. And so literally at the end of this month, March 25th through the 28th, we're going to fly all 36 of the 2023 prize winners back to New York. We're going to spend 3 days with their teams, and that is with their teams, their venture teams. We'll have dinner. We're going to invite all of our venture capital partners in New York. So there are lots of really unique network building opportunities and learning opportunities that we'll curate along the way. And then we offer resources through a lot of our partners. So on the operations side, we work really closely with Amazon AWS and DigitalOcean to kind of help you build out your backend. We have, as you advance in the process, you'll get access to an online community, so a repository of where we deposit things. So whether that is, hey, we are going to be at Essence Fest, we've bought 6 booths, let us know if you want one, or here's an opportunity that we have to build out a panel at this event, kind of let us know. All of those like real-time events will be posted there, as well as like a variety of learning initiatives and funding opportunities. Did I answer your question?
It did. Thank you so much.
Of course. Brandon
Oh,
Anthony.
one more. I'm sorry. One more question.
Of course.
I didn't and maybe I could look into, I saw that there's our floor valuation cap on the safe. The floor is $4 million. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Actually, so we will unpack that, but we have to unpack that in a specific context with our legal partners. So if you send me a note, I'll tell you in our timeline where that happens. Happy to do so.
Thank you.
Of course. Brandon Anthony.
Hi there, thank you. You may have covered this during your presentation. I joined a bit late, but I was a question more around the MVP or minimum viable start. What is technically your destination or this program destination relating to that? Are you looking for companies that are post-revenue or a startup culture in the market, or a minimal viable product to be considered? You have your prototype, your framework, your technical planning done. You've received feedback from your customer base. I just want to get some more clarity around the MVP portion of the
Gotcha. You broke up for me just a little bit, but I think I got the crux of your question, which was really unpacking what are we looking for as we evaluate MVPs, and then kind of the profile as it comes to revenue generating. Is that correct? Okay, I'll start with the second question. That's the easiest to answer. We look at companies, and we're excited to fund companies that are early stage. And that is a broad spectrum, right? Like that can be pre-revenue, that can be companies that have, $200,000 healthy every month. And if you are on our website, you can look at all of our prior prize winners by year. And you'll see that in every single cohort, there was someone who actually hadn't launched yet. There was someone who was pre-revenue. We do not really care about what you've earning. What we care about is a progressive kind of growth strategy, and that there's a clear indication that there's a demand and a place for your product or service in the market, right? And that can be demonstrated in many ways, not just dollars on a balance sheet. That could look like you've developed a prototype, that you've successfully raised funds, that you have a pre-sale list, that you have an existing customer base. We leave that to you to interpret. We just want to know that you've done the work of validating and can demonstrate that there is some traction. I can't hear you, Brandon. Sorry.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay, sorry about that. My second question is more around team members. So I know that for the application, you need at least 2 team members to apply. For myself, I have 2 strategy advisors and a program manager that has agreed to come on, post first round of funding. So does that kind of meet your criteria of applying with a team, or are you looking for FTEs or part-time employees to be a part of the team?
No, that's perfect. And by a team of 2, we mean a team that's minimum size 2. So yourself plus 1, not plus 2, if that's helpful.
Okay.
We're really open to what that role looks like. What we really want to assess is that this person has a long-term sustainable commitment to working with you to grow the business. That can be a W-2 employee, that can be a consultant. We're open to that. Awesome. All right, Sharina McKinley.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. My question is, if you are not selected, or say if you make it to like the second round, would you get feedback on your application so that you can improve it for the next round?
Yeah, that's a good question. And being completely transparent with you, something that we've experimented with over the years. In early years, we prioritized giving every single person who applied at least 2 pieces of feedback. And that was an incredibly difficult and heavy lift. In some cases, I think folks are empowered to take elements of feedback, keep the pieces that resonate and sort of build towards that. And others, it can feel a little bit more critical. And so some of the learnings that we got from that experience propelled us to only share feedback to those top 250 candidates who go through our mentorship program, after which we've built kind of a rapport. And kind of same thing, we've gotten sort of mixed feedback in how that's received. So I think our approach this year is going to be a bit more selective and potentially providing feedback to only those who land in the top 50, but we haven't made a decision on that quite yet. So I think the best thing to maybe inform your planning is that we won't be able to provide written feedback to every applicant. But with that being said, if you don't win the Black Ambition Prize in 2024, you're absolutely eligible and encouraged to apply in subsequent years. If you dive around on our website and sort of read the biographies of companies that we've invested in, you'll find a few really compelling stories of folks who, tried once, tried twice, and got it on the 3rd time. And so the demonstration of growth and progress against your company is something that is compelling over the years, and we actually track that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Of course. Desiree Brown.
Hi, good afternoon. My question is surrounding pitching. My co-founder and I typically pitch together, so we wanted to know, would that be okay if we were selected as finalists for Demo Day?
Great question, and you are way thinking ahead. On Demo Day, in the past, we've structured it such that there is one founder pitching for each company, and that's not uncommon. Many of our prize winners are, in fact, co-founders. Even our grand prize winners are co-founders. But we ask that on Demo Day, only one person prepares to pitch. We do a ton of training on the back end, virtual workshops, in-person workshops. A part of why we come to New York a few days early is because we oftentimes do some kind of brand building, stage presence workshops with celebrities. And so you'll both have an opportunity to learn from that, but only one person will be eligible to pitch on stage on Demo Day should you make it. But if you make the top finalists, so the top 50, and you do receive an interview with the Black Ambition team, prior prize winners, and VCs who help us identify finalists, you're able to take that interview as a team. You can invite as many people as you like.
Okay, thank you so much.
Of course. Zarlo, or I'm sorry, Carlo.
Yeah, hi, thank you, Jermaine. This is Carlos Vanarik. I'm founder and manager of Optimum Climate, Weather, and Environment Services, LLC. And I just had a question about the categories. There are several categories, AI, technology, customer service, products, and consumer products, services. And I wanted to know if we have to apply to only one of those categories? Or what if our business overlaps into more than one category? Can we apply within our application to more than one category? So that was my question. Thank you, Jeremy.
Of course, of course. And the answer is absolutely yes. It's really not about applying to a vertical. I want to kind of dispel this potential myth. The idea isn't that there's like a pot of funding for each vertical, right? It's more about helping us classify the industry in which you're innovating so we can find the best match when it comes to kind of mentoring and opportunities. So as you're working through the application, you'll see that you have an opportunity to identify a primary industry and a secondary and even a tertiary, right? So like a tech platform might have an AI component that firmly fits within both, and we'll just rely on you to kind of help us to do that bit of matching. So it's not incredibly important from like how we pick the prize winners. It's more about helping us to make sure that we are forming pods in a way that is complementary to founders.
Okay, thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate it.
Awesome. All right, Mendez.
I think Carlos sort of asked the question that I was going towards, but I know you mentioned previously that you all like some of the money is going to be considered an investment. Are you all looking for the people that you all like choose as winners or place investment dollars in to grow exponentially, or are you all looking for any type of company that fits in within the criteria?
Yeah, I think I understand your question. So I connect this back to kind of the impetus for our work and kind of what drives our North Star. And that is really around access and wealth creation for underrepresented and underestimated founders. And so when we think about that, we're really looking for companies that have the potential to be very high growth. And by high growth, I mean the ability to scale very quickly, national distribution, in a way that is efficient. So, right, not necessarily just consistently based on like hiring more people. So for example, like a software solution that can be adopted by lots of different people and across different markets. You don't need to be at the stage of national distribution yet, but we're looking for that, the indication that is possible. That's going to be the most compelling. I think a good way to get an idea of the type of companies that we invest in, and they are quite variable, again, is to really look at some of the companies that we've invested in prior years. If you go to our website, you can look at 2021, 2022, 2023 cohorts, and just kind of, there's about 30, I'd say between 25 to 35 in each of those cohorts. And you can get an idea of what kind of businesses we're looking for. Everything from sort of beauty products to fragrances to instructional platforms to language learning, super unique things. In one case, our grand prize winner was a SaaS platform that literally helped to streamline construction services in real time. So highly variable, but what we're looking for is a compelling case of here's a problem in the market. I can solve this problem, and solving this problem is both lucrative from a financial return perspective, but also is additive from the perspective of kind of quality of life, right? Of being additive to lots of communities. One question that hasn't come up yet here, but often comes up in these conversations, is kind of about the secret sauce. We invest in for-profit companies, so we're looking for companies that have the opportunity to generate lots of revenue. But if you look at our prior prize winners, there's this clear through line of something, of a focus on more than just dollars. And in some cases, they kind of have the heart and soul, of nonprofits. As you start the application, you'll see that you have to kind of walk through what we call the Black Ambition Pledge, a commitment to build, invest, and positively influence. And you'll see that a lot of our prior prize winners, while they have a really vast kind of program portfolios, they do things that are much more focused on whether it's cultivating community, paying it forward through teaching others. A good example is actually the company that I just mentioned, Livegistics. They are based in Detroit. They're our first grand prize winner. And in streamlining kind of construction management services in Detroit, had an opportunity to get lots of, government grants to do that work. And, because the founder has 2 daughters and wants them to experience a beautiful Detroit, he took on this responsibility of clearing up like abandoned abandoned parks or buildings. And then, you know, in the evenings, teaching classes for folks to figure out how to kind of assess those kinds of contracts. So we love to see founders that both have a commitment to building a business, to growing and scaling and hiring and becoming employers, but to founders who are also really committed to solving a problem that materially impacts people's lives in an impactful way. That's a little bit more than you asked, but I wanted to share that because it's something that we often find very compelling.
No, you completely answered my question. I know it was a bit all over the place, so thank you.
No, it's perfect. Artasia, and I apologize, y'all. I'm not the best at names, but it is charge it to my head, not my heart.
You're fine. Can you hear me okay?
I can, thank you.
Hi. So yes, my question is for my company. I have a production company, and we're going to be a part of the media entertainment sector of your program when we apply. I was just wondering, do you guys, I see a lot of like AI or tech or like beauty products from the past winners or finalists, but I was just wondering, do you guys like choose a certain amount in each category, or is it more so you're competing with the tech companies or, you know, different things like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we do not have quotas. In fact, if you look at prior prize winners, you'll see quite variance, right? One year we might be really heavy on the CPG side, another year we might be heavy on the tech side. And so we aren't trying to kind of satisfy any quota. What we really want to just see is a healthy investment into top performing companies. And if that skews one direction, that's perfectly fine for us. And I share that to say, that's why don't spend a lot of time on the classification of how you apply. Like, it's not a big decision whether you say, am I CPG or am I tech, or am I AI or am I tech? That's more really data on the back end for us. It just helps us inform partnership planning, curriculum development, how we go out and solicit mentors. It doesn't have any implication on the amount of funding that's available to you.
Okay, thank you.
The last piece I'll say is there's one platform that we invested in. It's called Quelli TV, KWELI TV. Quick Google them. You might, their story is incredibly compelling and it might resonate with you just given what you're building.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I will look that up.
Whitney. Whitney Frederick. All right, we are wrapping up on time. So Whitney, I'm going to transition, but if you come back, feel free to just pop in. Shelly.
Yay, I got picked. Hey y'all, I'm in my car, so I apologize. Shelly Flash out of Brooklyn, New York, two girls in a cook shop. We sell Jamaican tacos and diaspora street food. So I'm really excited about this opportunity. My quick question is for the 250, is that going to be like a rolling acceptance, or will that be announced after the May deadline?
Yes, thank you. That's going to be announced after the May deadline. That's going to happen mid-June, mid to late June. We have some flexibility there, just depending on how quickly we score applications. But it'll all come out at one time. We'll do, you'll receive an individual like update on your status from the application. Each applicant will receive, whether you advance or not, you'll get an email letting you know where you are. And then we'll also publish that through the Black Ambition newsletter. It'll be listed on our website and we'll drive lots of attention there for people to learn more about your business. So all 250 will be announced at once.
I'm sorry, I got a call. Tell me the date again. I'm so sorry.
The date is not yet firm. We'll announce the top 250 semifinalists in June, targeting mid-June to late June. And then all 250 top companies will be announced at once. You'll get an email notifying you of your advancement in the competition, and it'll also be on our website. Everyone will receive application status updates at every point in the competition. So if you're not moving on, you'll get an email that lets you know that you're not advancing. We'll connect you with some resources. And if you are moving on, we'll tell you kind of what the next stage is, what you can expect, and some key dates to keep in mind.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You guys are doing great. I love this. This is super informative. Thanks.
Thanks for joining. Just as a reminder, we'll have a second conversation on Monday, an opportunity to dive deeper. This time, rather than just hearing from me, you'll get a chance to hear from prior prize winners. You can pick their brains around, their sort of application development strategies. I'd love for you to unpack kind of how we support them. They can tell you kind of, the utility of the programming that we provide. Just a really cool opportunity to get better acquainted with our work. That's on Monday, same time. Follow us on IG to sign up if you haven't done so already. We'll host a few more sessions. So if you're not following us, be sure to do that. That's where we announce our programming. Whitney, you'll be the last question. I think you mentioned that you are back.
Yes, hello, I'm back. So my question is, do volunteers count as members of your team, or are you only specifically looking for people that are like paid, whether it's contract or like a W-2 employee?
Do you mean as a member of your company?
Yes, like they don't own ownership, but they assist me on a regular basis.
Yeah, so we would leave it to you to tell us the role in which they assist you. If that is a consulting role, if they're compensated or not. I will share with you that the most compelling roles that demonstrate long-term commitment are ones in which the person either has an equity stake, or like on the founding team, or are receiving some sort of compensation. So the person can be a volunteer, you can, that's perfectly fine. But as we kind of unpack the team component of the eligibility criteria, that's an element that we will evaluate, right? We want to make sure that 3 years from now, is this person going to still be co-building with you?
Got it. Is that the same for contract workers that you hire out to do certain, yeah?
Yeah, contract workers are compensated typically, and so that is a
Yes,
that would be compelling for us to know.
got it. Okay, thank you so much.
Of course, of course. We went over it just a little bit, but I want to make sure that everyone feels well positioned to develop a really good application. So if there's any remaining questions, I'm happy to stick around for just a couple more minutes. I see Desiree's hand is still up, and Whitney, your hand is still up as well. All right, just down to Whitney. All right, I think we are all good. Thank you all again for joining us, for sharing your time. We are so incredibly excited to see your applications come in. Black Ambition is so much more than a prize competition. We really pride ourselves on being a movement. If you follow us, you see that our, prize winners from different cohorts collaborate. They design products together. They become clients of one another. They become clients of Black Ambition. Our goal is to really be as supportive to you as we possibly can, both in your learning development, but also in your growth and revenue journey. So don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. We hope to see you again on Monday's call, and most importantly, to see your application come in. Be sure to jot down the contact information here on this slide. This, as a reminder, is recorded and it'll be posted on our website, so you can reference it at any time. You can also share it with your colleagues, folks who weren't able to join. Thank you so much for joining, and be well.